Hi, I'm George Pearson. In this Photoshop Elements video, I'll be reviewing this Everlasting Comfort seat and back cushion set, and also showing you how to do these 4 different drawing styles. If you enjoy this video, make sure to click that like button and also share with your friends. To really learn how to use Photoshop Elements, you should get my complete training course, and that's available at Amazon and howtogurus.com. Okay, let's get to it. I wanted to start off this video talking about these cushions here, the seat cushion and the back cushion. These are from a company called Everlasting Comfort. They contacted me and asked me if I'd be interested in doing a review of their products here for my channel, and I thought about it for a little bit, thought about it for a couple, 3 days, and I thought, actually this does make sense because you're sitting in a chair all the time when you're working on graphics. I'm in my chair hours and hours a day. So I thought, sure, it sounds like this is a good product that actually matches what we're talking about. Of course, I'll be tossing in some art in the background here as well to make this just a bit more interesting. Now, to be completely clear and transparent about this, I'm not being paid for this review at all. I'm not getting 1 cent from the review. I'm not getting 1 cent from any sales of these products. This is a completely free review. They sent me a couple of samples so I could test these out and be able to give you an honest review. Now, what I did was I took my worst chair. There we go. That's the worst chair I have in my office. The bottom here is just all flattened out. As you can see, the back has big holes in it, really old chair. Now, I've used this chair for about 3 weeks with these pads on here, and it really solves all the problems of this chair. Let's just get that out of the way. There we go. So what this is, it's 2 different products. One is a backrest right there, and one is a seat cushion. There we go. And depending upon your needs, you may want to try one or the other or both of these. I've been using both of these to give you a good, honest review. Now, these are both memory foam in here. The seat cushion has a rubberized bottom, and it zips along the back side, so you can actually take the cover off and wash it if you want to, if you need to do that. And they're very comfortable and I think very effective as well. Now, one thing that I do is I have an exercise routine which includes a lot of weightlifting. That's one of those areas where things like this kind of backrest, seat rest can really come in handy. Now, when I'm doing heavy lifts with back or heavy leg lifts, which also works the back, my back can become rather sore at times, and I found that this back cushion is ideal for that and really helps out if I have a sore back. And that's really what these cushions are all about, is if you have a sore back or posture issues, or if you have a bad chair, these can solve those issues. They'll work, as you can see here, on a regular desk chair. I've actually photographed these on my regular desk chair right there. They'll also work on a car seat wheelchair. Really easy. They're very, very flexible on how you can use them. On this little back here, these are elastic straps that go on the back side. They have snaps in the middle and some inserts so it will fit on any size chair, and it just snaps around and then pulls off those elastic bands. The seat cushion, of course, has that rubberized bottom, so it stays very stable on the seat. If you have a problem chair and you need to get that chair kind of working better for you, you don't want to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on a fancy chair, this stuff will solve that problem. Or if you have an issue with back pain or sitting issues, this is a great solution for those as well. So it's really a great product, and I highly recommend these. I thought you might be interested in this, and there you go. I think it's actually a very good, high-quality product. Now, you can find this over on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go ahead and find that. Okay, let's close down this file. Now, what I did with this is my original photograph. I went through and I did the mask already for the background to remove that background. Now, what we need here is a clear background, so I saved this as a PNG file. Let's close that out. Now, you can get this PNG file here on my video page, and the link for that, of course, is in the description. Now, to start off, we want to make a layer for the seat cushion and a layer for the back to separate those out from the rest of the artwork. We'll do that first. Let's just go in here and zoom into the seat cushion. There we are. Let's switch over here to the polygonal lasso tool. Now, I have mine set at a new selection right there, feathering at 1 pixel. Gives a little soft edge to the image or our selection. That helps to blend it in with the rest of the picture. Now, when you make your selection around here, you don't need to be perfectly accurate on that, and that's because we'll be putting the selection right down on top of itself just copying the picture on top of itself, which gives us a little bit of freedom along that edge. If you are a little bit off, it's okay because we have another pillow picture underneath, and that will solve that. That little black thing right there, that is the zipper tab, and you can unzip the cover, take the memory foam out, and then wash the cover inside of a washing machine. Kind of a nice little feature in there on that. Okay, working along the back side up here, and then coming right around to this big gap in the middle. Now, the seat cushion is placed correctly on this chair. It's centered in the chair with this opening towards the back. Now, this opening here is to keep from putting any pressure on your tailbone. Very useful, very helpful if you have any kind of back issues. Now, I had a skiing accident quite a few years ago where one of my skis came off and dug into the snowbank ahead of me, and I landed with my tailbone right on the edge of the ski, right on the back end of the ski, and very, very painful. And I had to sit on a couple of rolled up pillows when I was sitting so I wouldn't be applying any pressure on my tailbone. I wish I had this seat cushion back then. This would have been the ideal solution for that particular injury and this would have been much better than what I was forced to do back then. So very good for those kind of issues. Okay, almost finishing this down here towards the bottom. I'm back in against the edge. See a little circle kind of pops up right there, a little circle. You see that you're right at the beginning. Click on that. There's our selection. And then hit the layer mask button. There's our layer mask. So I'll hide the background layer. There it is. There's just that seat cushion. Notice the soft edge. That's the 1 pixel feathering on that edge. That'll help blend this in with the rest of our picture. Okay, let's make another copy of this. Drag it up here to the new layer button. Let's pull this one above the seat cushion. And this will be the back rest. Same thing. I'll start down here at the bottom middle right there. And let's just work our way along. There we go. And we'll just do another nice selection. Same exact thing on this. Just do a selection and then we'll convert this to a layer mask, and that will separate out the seat cushion and the back cushion from the rest of the pictures and keep these things clean. And that little tab that went around right there, that actually is a logo sewn onto one of the 2 elastic bands that go on the back side of this cushion. I'll hold the space bar down. Let's pull this down. There we go. There's the other elastic band right there. Now these meet in the back with a snap buckle. Each one has a snap buckle. They also have an adjustment section so you can adjust the width of that. Plus there is an insert you can add in there as well so you can get this thing around a real wide seat, like around a wheelchair or around a car seat. Add a nice little back cushion for a car seat. Okay, it's coming back around here. And of course the cover is washable on this. You can kind of see that it's an open mesh as well, which is also a nice feature. Okay, space bar again. There's the other side of that elastic band coming around the side there. Let's go around that. Back around the bottom corner here. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and make a layer mask on that as well. So there's our 2 cushions, the seat cushion and the back cushion. Let's hide those. And let's go back to full screen. And let's hide that back layer as well. Now I want to have guidelines in here. Make sure that your rulers are showing and go up to View, Rulers right there. Also make sure that Snap To is set for layers and document bounds. It should be. These are the defaults. It should be there already. Okay, with that set, grab the left side ruler, drag it in towards the middle. Now it's going to snap. There it is. Snaps right to the middle. Let's pull this down. It should snap to the middle again. There it is. So I have a horizontal and a vertical snapping to the middle of the page. It just kind of centers our page. We'll use that to build in our 4 quadrants. Okay, we can show everything again. There we are. Now we need 4 copies of this layer. I'm going to leave this one layer alone. We're not going to touch this one layer, but make 4 copies of this. Just drag it up here. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 copies. Let's hide the background. Underneath each one of these copies, we'll be putting a background layer in here, a background coloration in here. We can go ahead and put those in, just kind of separate things out. Now, as we do each one of these things, if you're working with Photoshop Elements 15 or 2018, you can put these into groups, and I'll demonstrate that as we move along. Okay, now the first one we want to have in here, we want a background behind this one. Let's come down to our background layer right down here. Go to the graphics. Here's our graphics. I have it set on backgrounds. And then if we scroll down a ways a bit, here's one called Blue Grid that I kind of like. And it's down just a little ways here. Notice that some of these have these little blue triangles in them, and some of them don't. The ones with blue triangles haven't been downloaded yet. These are all just thumbnails. But the actual background you have to download the first time you use it. And there's our gray stripe. There's the blue grid right there. So to put a new background in, just click on that. It applies that background to the image just like that. There we go. Okay, back to our layers. And it comes in as the background layer. Now I need this up underneath this one right here. So take this layer, drag it up to the new layer button right there. Makes a copy of that. I can then move that copy up here. Okay, let's just hide those. This next one over here on the right hand side, this is our second chair. This will be up this area up here. For this one, I have a piece of clip art. It's called Old Paper. It's a public domain image, and we'll use that for our background. It's going to be behind this layer. Let's come down one layer here. Make a new layer right there. It's going to be right in here. And let's go ahead and bring in that bit of paper. Let's bring this in by using the place command. So File, come down to Place. There we go. There's the original picture. There's my cleaned up copy, and there's the old paper. Choose Place. There it is. And let's just position this over here into this corner. Move it a little bit outside like that. That's about right, just in here someplace. We'll be, again, masking these off as we go. Okay, let's hide those two and come down here to this next layer. Now, I want the background layer beneath this layer, so I'll come down one more layer. And this is the bottom left-hand side. Now, what this one needs is a new layer right there, and just fill this with black. All you have to do. Click on the paint bucket, background color set up black. Just click in here someplace. Fills that with black. And there's that one. That one's easy. Okay, let's just hide that. And we can actually hide those again. There we go. So we're now down to our last layer right here. There's the chair. I want to be underneath that chair. This is a background for that. And this is, again, a background color for this one. So let's go back to our graphics. And we'll scroll down some more and find the next graphic. It's called Grid Paper. And we'll come down, we'll find this grid. It's kind of a yellow tone grid paper. And it's down a little ways in here. So let's scroll down and find where this one is hiding and add this in. There it is. Grid paper, click on that. That changes the background to that grid paper. There's our grid paper. Back to our layers. Again, it becomes the background. So let's take this, drag it up here to the new layer button like that. There it is. There's the background. Here's our new layer. Drag that above. That is the original. So here it is. That's the background for this chair. Okay, so all four of our backgrounds are in here now. We can now show all of those again. And I'll show everything in here. That's good. They're all shown. Let's go back up here to the chair right here. This will be our upper left-hand chair. So here's the two cushions, back cushion and the seat cushion. There's the first chair. This is the left-hand corner up here. Let me just change this. I'm going to call this one Up Left. Let's change this. Double-click here. Call this one Up Right. Come down one. Double-click here. This would be Down Left, and then this one is Down Right. We don't get messed up on this. Okay, on our upper left-hand corner, grab the rectangular marquee tool, come just outside of this upper left-hand corner right there, pull that down, and it should snap right to those guidelines, just like that. And then make it into a layer mask. So we're seeing just that corner of that. Now hold the Alt key down and take this layer mask and pull it down to that background. So we're now looking at just that one corner of those two layers. Okay, same thing. Coming down to the upper right side, we're still on the rectangular marquee, come upper right corner here just outside, click and drag that in, let that snap right to those two guidelines. There it is. Click on the layer mask button. So that masks that out. Hold the Alt key down and drag this layer mask down to the paper. So there's that upper right hand quadrant. Okay, let's come down to the down left layer. That's over here. Same thing, bring the rectangular marquee tool just outside the bottom corner. This time drag up and to the right. Let it snap to those guidelines. And click on the layer mask button. There it is. So there's that bottom left or down left side. Hold the Alt key down and grab that layer mask and pull it down to that layer. Notice that you don't actually have to do it for the bottom right hand side. But I'll go ahead and do it anyway just to be real consistent in here. So, on the rectangular marquee, just outside the bottom right corner, pull up until it snaps to those guidelines. And then new layer mask, there it is. Hold the Alt key down, pull the layer mask down, and that hides that layer. We'll actually be putting this one up on top of the chair, but we'll do that at a later point. Okay, so that gives us our backgrounds. And we've also divided the chair up now into 4 pieces. So if I hide these things, there we go, just like that. So we have the background and the upper left-hand corner of the chair in that picture. If we bring our next set in, that's the upper right-hand corner of the chair and the right-hand background, and so forth as we move on down. That will allow us to do different art techniques on each one of these corners of the chair. Let's now move up here to the top, right there on this layer, and we'll do this layer first. So let's zoom in on that. There we go. All I care about is the chair, really. There's the background. So I'll do this art first. The first step here is to take this layer, drag that, there it goes. Make a duplicate right there. Now, let's convert this to black and white. Do it right on this layer. So, enhance, convert to black and white. And the one you want is the one with the most contrast. There's infrared newspaper is pretty good. You can see that. It's portraits, scenic, urban, and vivid. I'll go for the newspaper. Real nice contrast in there. And choose OK. So that's now black and white. You kind of see the difference in there. This is full color over here, and that's black and white in that side. We're now going to make another copy of this layer. So drag it up there. So that's a second copy. So I have 2 copies now. These are both black and white copies. And on the top one up here, we're going to invert this. So I'll go up here to Filter, Adjustments, and Invert. And that becomes a negative of this one. So this is the black and white. This is a negative of the black and white. We're going to blend this layer, the inverted layer, into the black and white layer with a blend mode up here. So click on Blend Mode and come down to Color Dodge right there. And you get mostly just this kind of white look on this thing. We're now going to change this just a little bit. Go up to Filter, come down to Other down here, and then Minimum. And I have the minimum set at 5 pixels. It just kind of shifts everything over for about 5 pixels. And that gives us this kind of nice drawn effect. So it looks like it's like a drawing now, almost like an ink drawing. Okay, now I want to combine all of these layers together. Now to do this, I need to hide everything else. Just hide all of these layers, go straight down and just hide everything. And scroll down a little bit. There we go. So all we have left at this point that's showing is just these 2 layers here, giving us that effect. I need to copy these to a new layer, and it's a special keyboard shortcut, Control, Shift, Alt, and E, and that merges these 2 together onto a new layer right there. Notice it even merges the layer masks, so it's just that one little corner. If I hide these now, we're left with just this one little piece right there. Okay, so it's been merged up. Let's now put an adjustment layer on this one to enhance the look. So go up here to Layer, come down to Adjustment Layer and Levels. And where it says Use Previous Layer to create clipping mask, make sure that is selected. Choose OK. It's pretty low in there on that histogram, but I'm going to pull the black up. See, that kind of darkens the blacks down. Let's set that at 51. And if you move the slider here to the left, it brightens things up. To the right, it darkens them down a bit. So let's set this at 0.89 and leave the white where it is. I'm just increasing the contrast in there. You can see the before and after right there. So it's just a bit darker and more contrasty. And choose OK. Okay, now all we need to do is to make this blue. So I'll put a new layer above this layer. Go over to Layer, New. We'll do a fill layer, solid color. And clipping mask again, choose OK. Now on this one, I want to have this set at a blue. We'll be up in our blue range in here. Now, the blue I actually used for this was 0134 B8 right there, and choose OK. And then we're going to merge this into this. I go with a blend mode, come down here, and this time we're going to be using a screen blend right there, and that just blends this color into all the dark lines we had in there. So there it is without, and there it is with that blue added onto that. Okay, so that's all fine. Can now bring the background layer back up again, and that takes care of the upper left-hand corner. Now at this point, if you are working with Photoshop Elements 15 or Photoshop Elements 2018, we can put all of this stuff into a folder group or a layer group. I'll hold the Shift key down, click on the bottom layer for this section. That's that blue background. So the top layer is the blue coloration layer, and the bottom layer is the background. And then click on this little icon right here, create new group. There we go. And this is up left. That's our upper left-hand corner. Now, if you're not using Elements 15 or 2018, you'll just leave it like that. It's a bit more confusing this way. We'll get a lot more layers coming in here. One of the nice advantages of these last two versions of Photoshop Elements is this ability to use these layer groups just to help clean things up. Again, this is not a necessary thing to do, but it helps kind of clean up the workspace a little bit. Okay, we're now moving over here to the right-hand side, and we'll work on this chair. Now this, of course, has to be in a brown tone to match our brown tone background. Take the chair layer here. This is our up right. Take the chair layer, drag it up here to the new layer button right there. So a new copy of that chair layer. And this time, to get our line effect, we'll use a filter. Go up to Filter, and we'll be using the filter gallery right here. In here under Stylize is one called Glowing Edges right there. And it does this. It gives us kind of this nice edge. It finds the edges for us on this one. Now I want to have just a couple of changes in here on the settings. Let's set the edge width to 5 and edge brightness to 8 and then smoothness to 8. There we go. You can play around with those if you want to. It just changes the look just a little bit. Notice if I change the edge width in here, you can go thicker or thinner on that. I kind of like 5 for this one. Choose OK. So there's that with that edge width. Again, you can see it's now kind of a drawing effect. I want to invert this though. I want to have the lines dark and everything else light. So go up here to Filter, Adjustments, Invert. There we go. Looking more like a drawing now, as you can see. So we're getting closer. Let's now blend this. So normal, and come in here, scroll down our blend modes, and we're going to be using a linear burn, which is right there. That kind of burns it, and if I hide the chair in the background, there it is. It's just burning that into that background, looking like it's drawn on the background. Okay, so that's our first one. Let's come down here to the original again, make another copy of this, drag it up here to a new copy, pull this above that lined copy. At this point, you can hide the background chair. That's that one. So we're up here. There's the lined version. Here's our new chair. Another one of our effects. So again, Filter. Filter Gallery is the bottom one, not the top one. The top one is just going to repeat your last effect you did, which was that glowing edges. So I want the Filter Gallery with those little 3 dots next to it. Click on that. And in here we're going to be changing our effect to colored pencil. And it's under Artistic, right there, top left-hand corner, colored pencil. This has just kind of this crosshatch effect in here. So on this one, we'll change our settings over here. Pencil width at 3, right there. The stroke pressure at 3, and then brightness here, clear to the top at 50 on the right-hand side, and choose OK. Just kind of those nice little sketch lines. Let's now multiply this into the previous one. So blend mode and multiply. So we now have the lines from the first layer right there, and then this crosshatch stuff here is the kind of sketch lines from that second one. And we're getting pretty close now, looking pretty good, but I want to add in a bit more fancy stuff in here. Make sure that this layer is hidden. There's our line layer. Here's our kind of pencil lines layer. Make a new layer above this layer. There we are, new layer. And on this one, we'll be putting in just some random brushy stroke kind of stuff. Over to your paintbrush. Make sure you have black as your foreground color. And then in here, you'll be on default brushes like that. Just change your default brushes to assorted brushes. And then if you scroll down on the assorted brushes in here, we have these different brush patterns. And this one right there is called Crosshatch 2. Let me just do that. There it is, Crosshatch 2. The number here is the size of the brush. So this is Crosshatch 2 at 14 pixels. Okay, so there's our crosshatch. Change the pixel here to 50. Leave opacity at 100. That's fine. You can see there is that brush. You can kind of see it. Oh, there's pretty good. See it right there. And just come in here and just tap a bunch of these right around and over on the edges like this. You can kind of overlap into the edges a bit. Just do a few of these around like that. Just tapping it. Don't pull because it does that. So make sure you're just tapping. Do a few there, and then come down to the options, go to brush settings, pull the angle around a little bit. So my brush has now changed its angle. And then put some more of these in at this different angle. It just randomizes it a little bit. Don't worry about inside here, that's not going to be showing, of course. Put a few just kind of coming out like that. Don't worry about these being so dark. We'll be taking care of that in just a moment. Okay, so just a bunch of this stuff just kind of in and around like that. We're now going to blend this in to everything else. So this is our crosshatch layer. I'm going to just rename this one. Call it crosshatch, just like that. There you go. And change this one to overlay. And that blends that back in like that. So it looks like it's part of the drawing process. Again, we don't need to worry about it in here because this is taken care of by these clean photographs in there. Okay, that takes care of that upper right-hand quadrant. That's our second drawing style. Let's now move down and we'll work with this area over in here. Before we do that, let's just clean this up, come down to the background. There we go. Click over here. Hold the Shift key down, and that gives you all of those layers selected. You can also see from the layer mask on the right-hand side that these are all together. Let's now click on the New Layer Group button. Makes it into a new group. Double-click, and this one is up. Right. Again, this bit here, this trick works in Photoshop Elements 15 and 2018. You don't have this trick on earlier versions. You can still do the project, no problem. You'll just have a lot more layers showing. Okay, next is our lower left, and that is this and that. That's those two pieces in here. Once again, we're starting off by making a copy of this layer. So let's drag it to the New Layer button like that. There's your copy. Let's go up again to Filter. And back to the Filter Gallery. Right there. We're going back down to that glowing lines, which was under Stylize. There it is. Let's change our settings a little bit in here. Go to 7 for the edge width. Leave the edge brightness at 8. and then bring the smoothness up to 12, just a little bit brighter than we had before. Choose OK. Gives us this nice kind of bright outline on that. We're going to change our blend mode now up to normal and come down to pin light way down here. It just kind of blends it in a bit more interestingly in there. So there's our pin light effect. Now I want to rotate this layer around a little bit. You can kind of see there's control handles. Here's the outline right there. And there's control handles in there. Just come down to the bottom left-hand corner here. Click on that corner. That brings up the options for that bounding box. And we now can rotate this just a little bit. Just like that. So it's maybe about 3 degrees rotated around towards the left. Just a little bit of a shift in there. And choose OK. There's a little bit of a rotation right there. I'm also going to pull it just a little bit wider. Go up here to this middle one. That's middle. If I go clear to the top, you see the whole bounding box is around the whole chair in there. So this is actually the middle control handle. And just pull it just a little bit wider like that, just a touch. And choose OK. All right, let's now take this layer. This is our glowing layer. Drag this up to the new layer button. Give us a new copy. Let's now change the blending mode here to screen. Just a little different effect on that one. And let's just do a little bit more of a rotation again. Just click on that bottom left-hand corner. You guys should come just this outside and you can rotate that around a bit. Just like that. There we go, a bit more of a rotation. It's about 1.16 and 1.6 and a real subtle little rotation on that. Move back down to the middle of these 3 chair layers. This is our first glowing line layer. And come up here to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Gradient Map, right there. Click on that one. And where it says Use Previous Layer, just click on that. Choose OK. And then we're changing the gradient in here. Just click on that. And that brings up the editor, the gradient editor. Click on this one right here, Copper. Choose OK. And there it is. Okay, we can close that. So there it is without that, and there it is with that. So that gives us that kind of a coppery effect. So you can see the original chair is in behind there. The copper effect is in the middle. And on top of that is that other top line effect in there. Give it kind of an interesting metallic-y drawn effect. Okay, let's now come back down to this black layer here. Make a copy of this black layer. Pull this up to the new layer button like that. There we go. It's just kind of a safety copy in this case. Now on this one, go up to the filter menu, come down to render this time, and lens flare right there. Now in here, you can see here's the whole picture. There's the bottom left hand corner that we're working on. Here is the 50 to 300 zoom. I'm going to put this right about there. So it's centered left and right, and it's just coming up to the top section. I'm going to change the brightness to 150%. It's just real bright. You can adjust this to suit in here, whatever you happen to like. Maybe 134, 135, maybe a little bit better here. Now different lens flares will give you different effects. There's the movie prime, there's a 105, 35, and a 50. And changing the brightness will give you different effects as well. So you can have some fun with this one. I think 135 this time looks nice. Choose OK. This gets kind of this nice bright highlight back in there, kind of a glowing sun thing in behind this metallic effect for the chair. Okay, that takes care of that side. At this point we can copy all of this stuff into a layer group. Again, if you're using version 15 or 2018, click on your top layer, hold the Shift key down, come down to the black layer just like that. Click on the layer group button there, and let's call this one down left. There it is. Okay, we're down now to the last one of our cherry effects. That's this one. There's our background. Now in this one I just want kind of a pencil drawn effect on it. Again, we're on this chair. I mentioned earlier on when we were setting up this layer here, the background, that we'd be moving this at this point. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's show these last two layers. Take this layer, move it above that chair, so it's the top layer in that group, and then hide that for the moment. Okay, let's come down here to this chair layer. Since we have the original behind here, we don't need to make a copy of this. We already have our copy right there. Let's invert the color of this one. So go up here to Filter, Adjustments, Invert. Makes it into a negative of that, as you can see right down here. It's kind of an interesting, unusual looking negative in that instance. We're now going to change the blend mode here to color dodge, and it just looks white. There you go. So a negative and then color dodge looks like a piece of white paper just kind of cut out on that. Now we're going to be putting our line effect in here on this one by putting a blur on this chair layer. Let's go up to Filter, come down to Blur and Gaussian Blur, and here we go. I have mine set at 9 pixels. And that just creates kind of this pencil sketch effect. You can, a little less of that by going to the left, a little more, go to the right. I think for this one about 9 looks pretty good on there. Just kind of a pencil sketch effect, and choose OK. So there's our basic pencil sketch effect. Let's put an adjustment layer on this. So Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Levels, there it is. Where it says Use Previous Layer, go ahead and click on that, check that. And we want to just darken it down a little bit. So we'll be bringing the black levels up. And about 20 or so is pretty good on that. Just kind of brings it up a bit. Let me just hide that and show that. So there it is without, and there it is with. Just darkens it up a little bit. Choose OK. It's kind of our pencil sketch effect in here. Now I want to merge all this stuff. Let's hide the background and hide everything else. So all we have left are just these 3 layers showing. That's the adjustment layer, the inverted layer, and the original regular layer. Take this layer mask, hold the Alt key down, pull that down to copy the layer mask right down to this layer. Okay, now we're all set. So again, the Control, Shift, Alt, and then tap the E key. That duplicates everything. We now can hide both of those. Show the background again. Now I don't have to put the layer mask down here because everything above this is going to solve that for us. But if you want to, you can go ahead and copy that as well. Alt key, pull that down. So there's the whole look right here. Now this is where I bring in this layer up here. Just bring that up. It kind of blocks the chair. So we're going to blend this now into everything underneath. We're just kind of blend this in. Normal and darken. There it is. So it just takes this and takes the dark part of this and applies it to what's underneath, and that gives us that effect of this being drawn on that graph paper or grid paper. Okay, let's now put all this stuff into a group. Now the very bottom layer, this is our background layer. This will not go into groups. So I'll hold the Shift key down and come down this far. All of this stuff can go into a new group. So click on the group button. There it is. Double click on the name. And that's our down right corner. Okay, you can now show everything else again. There we are. And back to the magnifier, zoom tool, fit on screen. And let's just hide those guidelines. And let's bring this up a bit. I'll just pull this out. There we are. And just like that, let's zoom in on this. Couple of touches. And there we go. So there's the 4 different drawing techniques, all based upon that same basic chair photograph. And of course with our 2 protected cushions in here, the seat cushion and the back cushion as well, giving us this interesting kind of a drawing or art style sampler. So there it is. That's how to do those 4 different techniques and apply them onto a photograph. And again, this can be used on any photograph you want. You can do the same kind of trick with a portrait or a house or anything else. Just keep in mind you want to separate out the subject from the background, allowing you to do this trick. And don't forget the seat cushions, the chair cushion and the back cushion. Again, I found the back cushion very useful on the days when I have a sore back from doing my weightlifting. Real nice to have that on there, and I found the seat cushion very useful as well. Again, that's Everlasting Comfort, and you'll find a link for that in the description. So there you go. 4 different drawing techniques, all in the same image, and even something saved from the original photograph right there on top, in this case, these 2 seat cushions. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it useful. If you like this video, click on the like button below to let others know. You can click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. I'm frequently uploading new training videos. Don't forget to check out my website at howtogurus.com.